Hello everyone, and welcome to a bit of a different video. It's not really me doing anything. It's more me just going through some decks. And yeah, let's just talk about the premise. Duel Links is I hate to say it, it's kind of an expensive game, right? Let's be honest. With constant new releases, new support for old decks, very powerful one-off cards you need. It's insane. It really rewards long-term play because you already have all the old cards, but some people would find it quite difficult to really get their fangs in, really sink their teeth into this game. Purely because of the cost of it, really. To get a hero deck, for instance, you're going to have to spend a lot of time, energy, resources, gems, so many gems, or a lot of real life money. But then again, hero is probably the most expensive deck you can choose to play, so I wouldn't. Instead, how about picking up one of these decks? The decks that I'm going to show you are all pretty budget decks. They're pretty cheap. They only need one main box to really get the core, one main or mini box to get the core of the deck, and it's good. Not every deck here is the same level. I'll be the first to admit that. But I think they all compete around the same. And don't expect to be winning any tournaments, but you can probably make it up to at least plat with these decks. Maybe more just the deck themselves, not quite the builds. I'm going to show you some of them. But it's the thought that counts, right? Anyway, I have built these to my personal standards, which means I use all of the cards I have. I will tell you when stuff is not in the same box, and for one of these, I've even built a second deck to show you what it should look like from a budget perspective. Anyway, without further ado, let's just get into it. The decks I'm going to show you are for every main mechanic. I'm going to show you, and some of these I'm going to show multiple decks of, because just to show, okay, you don't have to build this one, you can instead build these instead. These other two, or this other one. And these aren't strict, you must follow this. It's just more sort of ideas. And yeah, I forgot if I was going to say anything else. So I guess let's just get into it. Our first one is for a main deck. A main deck. Like something where you don't really... There's no archetypal extra. Oh yeah, we're going through main deck. We're going for a main deck, Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, and finally we'll end it off with Link. My favourite summoning mechanic. Fun fact. Let's just move on. Our first of our two main decks is Magical Musketeer. Please ignore this name. That's a player's name. I copied it and changed their deck. This has been there for a while. I recently did look through all these, so none of them should be too stale. Anyway, here it is. Now, there is some stuff you could easily remove, like the Neos package, for instance. I'm fully aware that's not too budget friendly because you need structure deck for that. But it only takes up 5 cards in the main, 2 in the extra. Completely ignore the extra deck for this. This is not that budget, with a bit of exception. Same with these cards, the Forbidden Lance. That's also not in the same box. So, you know, I did warn you. There are alternatives, though, which I will get into later. But for muskets, you only need really this. You don't even need Kit Brave that much. Let me be honest with you. You don't really need Kit Brave. Which is might be a scary fact, but you don't. Let's just be real. But your muskets are all like rares, normal, rare, normal. The only high rarity card, apart from Kit Brave, which you don't really need, is Cross Domination, which you do need. You do need as many Cross Domination as possible. 2 is fine, honestly. I think you can get away with playing 2. 3 is optimal. So if you get lucky, you can go even a 10 pack and probably be fine. really it's more accurate that you go 40 deep, 40 packs deep, and then you can build it if you're lucky enough. Sorry, just adjusting my chair a bit. But I still believe this is a quite nice budget deck. And if you're looking for where to find these, magical muskets are all found in Future Circuit. A quite nice box, and as you see, it's Firewall's box, so you can get some very powerful Link monsters. This box changed the game because it introduces Nightmare Phoenix and Unicorn. So those two cards are still in the extra deck. So even if you just go into the box, right, you can be left with, let me just rip out everything that's not in that box. That was a cross domination. Oops. Oopsies. Yeah, here's all your musket cards, by the way. There's some I'm not playing. Steady Hands, Fiendish Deal, Zakil, Calamity. Where is he? Wild. I'm not playing any of those. I don't know if they're that good or not. That's for you to decide. But this is really this is really the core from the box, right? I mean, Unicorn and Phoenix are in the box, and they're very powerful cards. And it's just what, 5 extra deck slots you need? 6. Sorry, I can't count. 6 main deck slots you still need to fill. You can add more muskets or more back row. Speaking of which, you'll notice that a lot of the back row in this game is expensive, right? That's a fact. So before I move on to my next deck, I would like to show you some generics. Some very cheap cards. Now, this is interesting because, and by the way, I just lumped it on Mako. All of these cards are free or practically free. Well, you could say one exception, but it is given for free right now. Because the staples in this game are quite expensive, let me be honest. Oops, connection error. They're quite expensive. So here is some cheap ones instead. These are all free, by the way. By the way, there isn't many good cheap synchros or fusions, because fusion's very archetypal. Synchros are kind of like that. But anyway, as you see, we've got a bunch of Xyz decks, and I did forget to put this guy in. Anyway, let's just start with the staples. We'll follow the Xyzes right after. So these are all free from Tickets, Card Trader, event. We're going to start with a back to square one. You discard a card, target a monster on the field, place that target to the top of the deck. That's pretty good. You do have to pay a discard for it, but it's still alright. It's not a quick effect either, but it's still good for a free card. Starting at the game, I'm sure this could wreak havoc in the lower tiers on Blue Eyes. Another one is Spiritualism. This is from the Card Trader. It's basically a Mystical Space Typhoon, kind of, mixed with Compulse. You return a spell trap your opponent controls to the hand, and it's unrespondable. Again, it not being a quick effect does make it worse, but it's not like that bad. You return a spell trap to the hand, meaning they can't activate it in response. So if you just lead with this at the start of your turn, that's good. You can't activate any continuous trap if you target it. So yeah. Our last spell card is Econ. You see it's limited to 1. Enemy control is so powerful. It really showed its power during Salad format, when Salamangreat were tier 1. And that's an interesting deck. I'll talk about them a bit later. You can change the battle position or take control of a monster by attributing your own. This is very powerful. You can battle with that monster. You can use it for any form of summons. It's a nightmare. Especially if you're going against a Link deck and you are the Link deck, you can just link their guy off. It's insane. Incredibly powerful, incredibly disruptive. There's a reason it's limited to 1. And as for traps, this is an event reward. Magical Cylinder. You should know what Magical Cylinder does. Declare an attack, negate the attack, deal damage. It's basic, it's simple. This is hard limited to 1. Yeah, that's the reason you might not play it as much as you would want to, because it's hard limited to 1 right now. Also, we do have the searcher for it in the game, which I am looking for right now. There it is. So if you wanted to, you could play Magical Cylinders instead of magic cylinders. If you wanted to really search it, boost your consistency, that's a ticket reward. It's a drop from Varus. Not magic cylinder, magical cylinder. Anyway, another free card. Mirror Force. It's Mirror Force. Attack. Whomp, the field goes. Incredibly annoying, incredibly powerful sometimes. Yeah, it's Mirror Force. This guy is also from the card trader. Scrap Iron Scarecrow. When an opponent's monster plays an attack, flip it up. That its attack's negated. Then you flip this back down to use it on your next turn. Not a once per turn. It's limited to 2 right now. Not because it's particularly powerful, I would say, but because it was released limit 1 and they're gonna slowly bring it down. Yeah, it's very powerful, especially low down. Free again. These next 2 are ticket cards. Labyrinth of Nile. I think this is really underrated. It's another attack negator. A lot of these free cards are battle traps. Can't do much about it. Target the attacking monster, negate the attack. If you do, switch its original attack and defense until the end of the next turn. Meaning, if your opponent's got a monster with very low defense, then you've just made their attack pathetic. It's just nothing now, which can be really powerful. So yeah, I think this is super underrated. It's a cheap, free card from tickets. Another ticket guy is Metal Morph. This is a lot more offensive than anything I've shown so far, because you equip with the monster against 300 attack and attacks, exclusively when it battles, like when it attacks, not when it's attacked. It gains attack equal to half the attack of the attack target during damage calc only. Meaning, basically, I go to battle you, and if my attack is higher than half of your attack, you're gonna die. That's just a fact. Also with the 300 boost, so it doesn't even need... You could battle with even monsters, and this will boost it already. So yeah, Metal Morph, very powerful, free card. So yeah, that's it for the spell and traps that are all free. Keep these in mind. They're all powerful in their own way. Now the Xyz monsters are a bit more. Some of these are a bit more dodgy picks than others. I'll just start with our only kind of harder to access. Ultimate Leo Utopia Rave, requiring 3 level 5 monsters. This is an event card. It is free. I think you can get it from rewards, like lifetime missions. Yeah. And Leo Arms is another ticket card. This is what you use to play with this, because it equips as actual weapon. It's a bit hard to get into, so I'm not going to really delve too much into it. Keep in mind, it is very powerful. If you can make it in your deck, you might want to spare the extra deck slot. Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon is Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. It's very powerful, and because it comes in the structure deck for free, the free Odd Eye structure deck, Dark Rebellion's included. It's very powerful. Detach 2, half a monster's attack, gain that half permanently. Yeah, I've got it favorited for a reason. These next 2 are ticket cards. Sky Pegasus. It's a generic 2 level 4's 1800 attack, and you can detach it Xyz material to to destroy an opponent's monster, and they can pay 1,000 life points to negate it. During like a grind game, this could be very powerful. If your opponent's running low on life points, they might choose not to negate it. So it's basically like inflict 1,000 damage with a free destruction if your opponent doesn't have it. So that's not the worst you could ask for free. I think this came out with like the debut of Xyz monsters as well. Another free card is Illuminate. Slightly less good. You basically discard a card, draw 1 by detaching a material. It requires 3 level 4 monsters though, but it does have 2400 attacks. That's not too bad. Our final ultra is Leviathan Dragon. Another ticket card. They're all ticket cards, except like 3 of them, I think. Detach 1 gains 500. If it has no Xyz material, it can't attack directly. Yeah, 2 level 3 monsters, generic. Decent enough, honestly. It's not that good, but I just put it in there because I like the card a lot. This card, I don't know what it does. I'm not going to read it. I don't know why I put it in there. Giga Brilliant, on its own, isn't too bad. Detach 1, everything gains 300 permanently. For 2 level 3s, that's pretty good. But the main reason I'm showing this is because Digital Bug Corbage can rank up on top of this. And Corbage can switch monster to defense, can target a defense position monster and shuffle it into the deck. Very good. I'm pretty sure it can also switch monsters to defense. I might be wrong about that. I've not really taken an in-depth look at the card. But this is an engine if you want it. Corbage engine with Giga Brilliant. And Giga Brilliant's not bad on its own. This is a box card now. These 3 rares are all box cards. Photon Papillioperative. You can target it. You can target 1 defense position monster on the field, change it to attack position, and if you do, it loses 1,000 attack. Not bad. Especially if you're playing a hyper offensive strategy, that's pretty good, all things considered. With 2100 attack, 2 level 4 monsters, it's pretty easy. But I wouldn't play it over this card. Dreadnoid. Now, on its own, it's not that powerful. It just detaches exceeds materials to make it immune from destruction. It's its second effect that's very powerful. Or its first effect, then I'm looking at it. It requires 2 or more level 4 monsters, which means you can make it with 2 level 4s. Now, if it destroys a monster by battle, you can special summon from your extra deck a rank 10 or higher Machine Xyz on top of himself. Meaning, you can access... I don't know why I thought that would work. Basically, your targets are Sky Palace Gangadi Day. What's it called? Super Quantal Mecha King. Gustav Max and... I forgot its name now. The Galactic Destroyer, I think it's called. Galactic Destroyer is a free card. It's an SR, rank 10. There are some rare rank 10s that you could really flex into, which are good. So the rank 10 machines are good. I don't have any of them locked in the extra deck because there wasn't enough room. But keep that in mind. Just sort of look for... actually, we'll just do it right now before the end of this segment. Xyz... where is machine? Machine. And we're going to go rank 10 and higher. These are all the cards you can target with them. I wouldn't... Is it 10 or higher or is it exclusively 10? I think it's 10 or higher, right? These 2, don't worry about it. So Gustav Max is in the same main box. Nice. This is a ticket card, Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer. It's essentially not essentially, it's a Harpy's Feather Duster. And it can't activate spells or traps in response. Gustav Max inflicts 1,000 burn. This card, basically, it does a lot. And you're probably not going to have the 4 or more effect. You're going to have the 2 or more effect. Where once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach Xyz material to shuffle 1 card from the field into the deck. Incredibly powerful and 3,600 attack. Insane. And also it becomes unaffected. Everything except Super Quan if you made this guy with 3 level 4s. And our final one is Sky Palace Gangari Day. Sky Palace Gangari Day is very powerful. Detach 1, destroy a card on the field, and inflict 500 burn. It can't attack, but who cares? It's powerful. It's got 3,400 attacks, so even if it's got no materials, it's still a big body. These 2 are not in the same box as this guy or this guy, so these 2 are probably your budget options, because this guy's free, and this fella comes in the same box. Now, we're quite far into this. Let's get back into it. Free card, structure deck, free card. How to obtain. Corbage is found in Infinite Ray and a selection box. Those don't really matter right now. Dreadnoid is found in Maximum Gustav. And I don't know if this was reprinted. I don't think it was. It was not. Photon Galaxy. So those are those. Now let's just get back onto it. Keep these in mind. We'll just save this. Why not? Those are all of our cheap staple cards. Just keep those in mind. As we move on to our next deck, quite a while in. Didn't mean for that deter to last so long. Our next cheap deck is Time Lord. Let him introduce himself. Time Lords are only in one mini box. They are in, it was advertised here at the beginning of the video. Is he gonna, nah. It's in Impulsive Quasar. That's the mini box. I'll show it with the list. Now, this, here's all those big rank 10s. You can just ignore the extra deck. I don't really flex into it too much. And apart from these Forbidden Lance, which again, any back row, everything here is free or in the mini box. So let's just go into the mini box. Let's just show it off. Impulsive Quasar, that's the mini box. I'm not going to actually go into it. That'd take way too much time. Yeah. Metaion, Zaphion, Raphion, and Kamion are all level up rewards. So you do need to get Zone 2 quite high level along with the skill. That's his level 20 skill, by the way. And Meteon and Sandion are both free cards from his event drops. Or when he comes to the gate, his gate drops. As for that, I mean, 1-for-1's a bundle card, so you might be a bit more hesitant about that. Well, that's 3 cards that aren't in the box. It's brilliant. Really cheap, very powerful. If you can just grind enough to get your Sandions, your Meteons, level up Zone enough, get Metaions. You don't even need Cephalon. But it's very anime to have Cephalon, so that's why I play him. And I think the skill gets turned off if you don't have him, because he is part of the skill. Might be wrong, but whatever. There's Time Lords, they're very easy to play as well. Time Maidens, also in SR. You don't even need that many copies of it, honestly. You don't even need copies of it, it just boosts your consistency a lot. So you should play 3, I only own 2, and it works fine for me. Check out me misplaying Time Lords terribly if you want. I'm not going to bother linking it. So that's our 2 main decks, Time Lords and Magical Muskets. I think Time Lords is cheaper because it's not a main box. But that's my opinion. It also takes a lot more time because you need to get Zone to level 23. Which isn't the hardest task in the world, but it does require some grinding. But thanks to tickets, we can very easily make Zone. Anyway, let's just move on to Ritual. I've only got one for this one. And if you know Duel Links and you're watching this, you probably know what's coming. It's Cyber Angels. They used to be a meta deck, fun fact. They were on the ban list for ages. They've been letting them off. I think they've still got a card on there. But they are incredibly powerful and not to mention cheap. They are super cheap. I don't know what to say, right? Out of here, these 4 cards, the Vrash and the Maju, are not free cards, right? These are in boxes. The extra deck as well, that's in boxes. But we don't care about the extra deck, we only care about this main deck. Izana, Dakini, Benten, Iditen, Petit Angel, the draw 2, Merciful Machine Angel, Machine Angel Ritual, and Machine Angel Absolute Ritual. I need to put more Ritual in there, because that's the better one, I'm pretty sure. Whatever. They're all free. They're from tickets or drops. You just grind out Alexis, you'll get these. You just use your tickets wisely. You can just build the deck. This is the only one of these guys that's not available from tickets. It's Cyber Petit Angel. And guess where you find him? Well, you can get him in the level up rewards, or from the card trader. This deck is insane for the price. It is literally a free deck. It is the embodiment of a free-to-play deck. You don't have to spend a single gem to get this. You can just play the campaign, and then unlock Alexis with your tickets. You don't even need to unlock Alexis herself. You can just use the character tickets on her. And then you have the character, you have the deck. The deck is super good, very consistent at times, sometimes incredibly powerful. It's brilliant. I think it's a wonderful deck, especially for the price of it. Yeah, I can't show you anything. If you're wondering where Manju comes from, it comes from Maximum Gustav as well. And if you're wondering where Vrash comes from Shining Sunrise. But you don't need to play Vrash or Manju. You can cut them completely. And also the extra deck is just sort of whatever. It's not archetypal. But that's it for our ritual deck. There's not really any other free-to-play ones to my knowledge. And none of them can even stand a chance. So let's move on, shall we? To Fusion. This one's difficult because before I move on to anything, Ritual Beast is a very cheap fusion strategy and used to be tier 3. I'm telling you this, not showing you this, because I don't have the deck. I have no interest in building it, so I'm not going to do that, right? I'm not going to build it for this video, because I don't have interest, personally. That's a me problem, but the deck is very cheap. It requires, I think, very few ultra rares. It might require 3 of 1 ultra rare, though, but they're in a mini box, so it makes it a lot better. I think you can get away with like 2 of them. Anyway, let's move on to our next cheap deck for Fusion, which I do not remember what I assigned to, so I'm going to have to look. Oopsies. This one's interesting because a lot of Fusion decks in this game aren't very cheap. Let me be honest. Previously mentioned Hero. Fossil isn't cheap either because you need 3 of an Ultra from a main box. You can build cheap Fossil, don't get me wrong. Just gonna look down through these. Please ignore some of these. I cannot remember what I assigned. Okay, I'm pretty sure. Right, this is it. Fusion's very difficult, apart from Ritual Beast, so keep in mind, Ritual Beast. This is probably the cheapest one you can find, apart from them. If Duel Links doesn't break, please. Thank you. Fluffle! Fluffle requires some SR, yeah. And it also requires a UR from a main box. But everything else, this is a free card. This is a free card. This is a free card. You don't really need this, for being honest. This is a free card. This is a free card. All the rares are the rares. This is a free card as well. I forgot to mention this. Kite Ward, incredibly good generic from the card trader. Yeah. It's a very cheap deck. It's all found in the same box as well. It's not received further support yet. It's all in cross dimension. So if you're wanting to build Fluffle, it's probably the cheapest fusion deck that I can think of. And I just saw one in the corner of my eye. So I'm gonna look at that one too. But Fluffle Tiger is incredibly powerful. It just destroys monsters up to the number used for a summon. And that's a minimum Treacherous Trap Hole, minimum 2 pop. That's insane. And you can main deck Polymerization for the anime moments, another free card. Fright for Fusion's pretty good. You don't really need it. 2 is probably too many. You should be playing more Toy Vendor, but I find with my personal experience, I don't need multiples. I should be playing them, but I don't need them. 1 is perfectly fine. So, yeah. Just Fluffle, they're very good, very consistent, especially if you can get through Fluffle Dog, which I know it's an SR from main box, but fusion decks are pretty hard to wrangle your hands on. Or, I mean, you could also say wrangle your toes on. That's a terrible segue. The next fusion deck, which I just remembered there the now, very impromptu too, is I forgot what they're called. Genuinely, I forgot their deck name. Feet. It's the dual avatars. The dual avatars are also very cheap, because yes, they have 2 ultra rares, and yes, you should definitely be playing a lot of copies of them, but you don't need it. Let me be honest, you don't need it, really. Here's my deck when it loads. Here's my deck. I forgot about the SR. You do need as many copies of this card as possible. It's an SR from the main box. This is just a small little package. You don't need that at all. You don't even really need Fusion Substitute, which you can replace with Polymerization. I do not remember how to get this card. Is it a box card? Yes, it is. Oops. You can just replace this with Poly. It's basically just Polymerization. Most of this stuff is cheap. Like this card. This is really your deck maker. But it is searchable, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's searchable. Someone searches it. Yeah, this guy. He searches it, so you don't really need to... this is a bundle card again. This is, we already mentioned this. Okay, you should probably be playing more, but I don't find that I really need the Ultras that badly. It's nice to have them, but you don't need them either. I'm sorry, I'm not an aficionado with this. I can't really talk it too in detail. I barely know what I'm doing when I'm playing it. I've not tried to really play this deck. I've played it against NPCs and it's very fun. So yeah, you could pick this up, honestly. And if you're wondering where all this stuff is found, it's the Raid Raptor box, Raiders Requiem. Yeah. Main boxes are a nightmare. But much like Musket, you just kind of need a lot of an SR. They're basically just Fusion Musket. Yeah, let's move on to Synchro. Synchro is much like Fusion, very difficult to get your hands on a cheap one. However, it can be done, and I will show you how it can be done with no 5Ds characters. It's asinine, honestly. Gong Genzenka. Gong Strong with super heavy samurai. This deck is incredibly cheap. Let me be honest, right? Let's be real. You don't need that many. Obviously the SRs are very powerful for the deck, but you don't need them, right? I should have probably made a second one for this as well, but here's my deck list. Okay, you don't need any staples, which is very good. You see the extra deck here? This guy is not in the box with these guys, and you don't even need him that much. This guy's your boss monster, basically. You don't need Big Bang K. You don't need scales. You should probably get a Soul Piercer. Soul Piercer is probably the biggest problem. It is in Future Horizon, but so is literally everyone else except Big Bang K, Scales, and Warlord Susanoo. I'm pretty sure Soul Peacemaker is up also in Future Horizon. And unless I'm mistaken, which please correct me if I'm misinformed, everything else is as well. So Scales through Bang K up here, these guys, and Susanoo, all of those not in Future Horizon. Let's just remove them. Let me show you what's in Future Horizon. All of this is in Future Horizon. And you don't even really need that many of the SRs. You could easily just play some filler super heavies or generic monsters like Kiteroid. Kiteroid is very good in this deck because it doesn't need spells, because the deck doesn't play spell or traps. So yeah, this is by far and away the cheapest Synchro deck, and it's good as well. I've had my ass handed to me by this a few times. Their synchros are incredibly powerful. Their main deck has an unfounded ability to just special summon themselves constantly. It's brilliant. The deck's super fun and very cheap. Keep that one in mind. So yeah, everything is found in Future Horizon, which might not be your first thought to go into, since it has a Stardust Spark Dragon as the cover. But it has Stardust Spark Dragon, so you can play that as well if you pull it. Yeah, this is a super powerful strategy for what it is. Very cheap. Yes, it does play SRs from a main box, but look, I've survived perfectly. I'm not saying this deck's bad by any means, and I don't even have that many of them. You can also just cut them completely. I wouldn't recommend it. They do a lot, but you can cut them completely. So if you really, really wanted to, this is the amount you can play. You can play tons of other monsters here. So yeah. Super Heavy Samurai, very powerful, very cheap. So, Xyz monsters. Those exist. Oh, by the way, also Future Horizon is on sale. It's part of the half sale that they do. Just keep an eye on older boxes. A bunch of these are for older. Well, that's, I think, our first. Ritual Beast is also in an older mini box. But, Xyz decks. Xyz. I already covered tons of generic Xyz monsters. Just rewind the video if you want that. Okay? So, if you want to fill the extra deck with tons of generic Xyz monsters, do that. There's really two options in my mind. Our first is Wind Up. Might not be what you expect, but bear with me. Voyage of Metal is a mini box, the second ever released in the Xyz era, and it houses all of the wind-up cards, including Zen Mains, Zen Mayo, Zen Meite, all of these low bums, Shark, Rat, and the wind-ups. Voyage of Metal will probably be going on sale soon, like the mega half price sale, so you can pick these guys up for pretty cheap. This is a level up reward. Monster Reborn. How could I forget Monster Reborn? Monster Reborn's a free card. I just assumed I just forgot. That's on me. Wind Up Fat Train, Zell Malfunction are also free cards. Not free cards, but they are low rarity. Honeybee, I'm pretty sure is a free card. Let's just quickly look at it. Yep, free. Yeah, it's insane, kinda. It's kind of insane, but yeah. I am playing a Utopia package here, which is not that cheap, but just ignore it. So yeah, you can do a variety of extra deck stuff with this. It's got a very flexible extra, I feel. You should probably keep the Zen Mayday to 2 or 3. But apart from that, I don't know what else to say about Wind Up. I'm not really professional in the deck, so I can't say if that's a good list or not. But keep them in mind. They are pretty good. Another cheap card, our second and last for now, cheap Xyz archetype is Cypher. Which, no, it's not. It's our second last. Cypher. This does share a spot with the next, but bear with me here. Cypher. There's a lot of cheap Xyz archetypes. Cypher. As you can probably see by the rarities, very cheap. This is just staples. You can get away with only playing Cypher Dragon, who is in the same box as everyone else. Phantom of Rebellion, which you see Dark Rebellion on the front. Yeah, the next deck is Phantom Knight. They're a bit more expensive though. Phantom Knight's also pretty cheap actually. Thinking about it, they're a bit more expensive because you need Dark Requiem to really play the deck at its full power. You need 3 of an Ultra. So I'm just going to mention them. Phantom Knight, not what I would suggest though. This is very cheap though. 3 of an SR and that's it. Really. I play 2 Cypher Dragon. You can get away with 1. Bunch of spell and traps. You might need 2. So just be wary. Yeah, rares for the main deck mostly. Pretty cheap. You don't really even need the rank ups. You don't need the higher forms. Let me be real with you. You don't need them. You only need Cypher. Instead, you can fill that with Xenophon, the Sky Prison. I don't know where he's found, but he's a generic rank 8. He's a rare. Or you can just fill it with generic rank 4s for these guys. They don't lock you ever. Just keep that in mind. Let's just guess we'll just move on. I'm probably going to go... Those older ones are probably much longer. Cosmo's not really budget. You do need a lot of ultras from a main box. Or Pendulum. I'm going to mention this deck because it's interesting. Raging Pendulum with the new Odd Eye Structure deck. One copy of the Structure deck is free, so you can buy two, so you can have 2 copies of it, which basically lets you get a quite potent deck. You can have 2 Oath Dragon, which I don't even have. Your only downside would be you don't have the Pulse Pit scales. You do need to grind Yuya to get Crobat Joker. You have 2 Second Donkey, no Noble Dragon, and you only have 2 Pendulum Call. So I would say keep that stuff in mind. Honorable mention goes to Dichromac Eyes. But for Pendulum, I think there's one that I could really... Only one I could give it to. And that's Dino Mist! I was going to give it to a Best Actor, because you only need 2 of one of their Ultras, but Dino Mist needs 0 Ultras! At all! Their extra deck is null and void. You don't even go into it most of the time. So this stuff down here, useless. Crap. Throw it out. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I'll admit, you probably need 3 of this guy, Dino Mist Charge. But just playing more Dino Mists isn't really that bad. Being serious. Like, yeah, I'm playing 3 Rex and 3 Charge, but you can get away with 1 Rex and 3 Charge or 2 Charge. And probably 1 Rex is good, but... Yeah, they require no Ultras at all, so it's instantly better. The box they're in is pretty good. That's the wrong button. They are all found, every single last one of them, they're all found in Force of Infinity. I like that box. It has some of the good Mech Lord stuff as well, but Mech Lords aren't cheap. Because you need some supers from other main boxes. But yeah, this is a very good cheap deck. It's very OTK functions. You just set the scales, summon Spinos normally. Yeah, you summon Spinos, tribute some guys, attack twice, attack directly. You win the game. It's very OTK based. And because it's Pendulum, you can also flex into the extra deck quite easily. We have some rank 5s here. Here's the Utopia package I was talking about. Rank 5s, even rank 4s, and we've got some links in there as well for good measure. So yeah, Dino Mist, we're playing United Pendulums with it as well. I forgot to mention any skills. But yeah, Dino Mist. Don't underestimate them. Our next and our final one is Sulfa Cord. Same box. It's still in Pulse Quasar. That Time Lords were in. And I'm very confident they require no ultra rares. Except from like... They're very much just Dino Mist again, right? They have, what, 2 supers? 3 supers, actually. You don't need all the supers. Mostly rares. This card, Grand Sulfa Cord Musiclia, is a free card. It's from the card trader. So just be wary of that. It's basically Dino Mist again, but kind of better. I don't really know how to play them that much, so I'm just going to give them a brief mention here. Look at the rarities. They're cheap. And a 1-for-1 really makes the deck work. It's in a bundle, so it's pseudo-free. It's a guaranteed card. But finally, we have the only one I made 2 for, World Legacy. To end this all off. World Legacy is all found archetypally in the one box. Link Generation. And here is a probably optimized version, where we're playing Firewall, Unicorn, Book of Moon, Unexpected Die. Because that's quite a lot of cards right there, and Unexpected Die is so powerful for the deck, and also the extra deck has got Unicorn and Firewall, I'm just going to show you this as the probably most optimal version that I would be willing to build, that I would make, personally speaking. But I would be remiss if I didn't show you this that I cooked up, a much cheaper variant. Every single card from this deck that is loading, I swear it's loading, but every single card from it, all of these are either free cards, like Magic Cylinder, Book of Moon, not Book of Moon, Monster Reborn, Magic Cylinder, or are found in, probably pick a better guy for this. That was the wrong button again, I'm stupid. They are all found in Link Revolution, not Generation, Link Revolution. The first set of the Link era, and you need 1 Ultra, 0 Supers, and you don't tell anyone I told you this, you don't even really need Ningirsu, right? You don't even really need him. You should have him, but you don't need him. Warning Point is in Link Revolution as well. But yeah, that went on way longer than I thought it would. I am sorry. That's been the video. That is a video of a bunch of just cheap Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links decks. I hope you enjoyed. And, I don't know, comment if I missed any. If this helped at all. Probably didn't. Nobody's going to watch this. Especially not this far. Jesus Christ, it's almost an hour long. Well, it's not. It's 3/4 of an hour. But yeah, this video's far too long. I rambled far too much. So yeah, hope this helped any. Probably didn't. And, I guess bye.